The former class beauty turned her classmates from 10 years after graduation into blind boxes, wanting to see how they're doing now. But she didn't expect that the former top student has now become overweight and stays at home taking care of kids, while the handsome school heartthrob she got along with turned into a female classmate when they met again. She posted the process of meeting classmates online and gained over 1 million followers overnight as she continued to choose the next classmate the audience hoped she would meet. The boy on the far left of the graduation photo, head down. He was an ordinary-looking boy, with thick bangs covering half his face. The class beauty instinctively looked over, but couldn't remember who he was. In her memory, this male classmate was silent and withdrawn, always walking with his head down for years. The kind of marginal person with very low presence. She looked at the graduation photo and finally remembered Jiang Fan and began to introduce him. The LIVESTREAM room instantly buzzed with comments. Have you ever noticed? In every class, there are always some classmates whose names you can't recall. People only remember the distinctive or top-performing ones. For these marginal people, even after entering society, they won't achieve much. Who said being unsocial means having bad popularity? Seeing the live chat getting heated, Xia Bingbing quickly stepped in to smooth things over, at the same time deciding to meet this old classmate she barely remembered. Meanwhile, I was wearing a delivery uniform, waiting at a red light on my little electric scooter, and happened to bump into an old classmate driving a luxury car. He politely asked for my contact number and cheerfully said he'd make time instead of refusing. However, not long after, I received a call from an unfamiliar number. Hello? Are you classmate Jiang Fan? Xia Bingbing hurriedly added. I'm Xia Bingbing. We were high school classmates. I thought for a moment, and finally remembered she was once the class beauty. So I asked, after so long without contact, could it be that you're getting married, Xia Bingbing? If it's about borrowing money, then forget it. These words left Xia Bingbing stunned for a moment. She quickly replied, I'm not getting married. And I'm not borrowing money either. Before she could finish, I continued, then I get it. Send me the link, and I'll help you cut the price. I'm a new user after all. The live chat instantly burst into laughter. This classmate from Zhejiang is hilarious. But his answer was very realistic. A classmate you haven't contacted for years suddenly reaches out to you one day. It's usually either because they're getting married or because they want to borrow money. Seeing the scrolling comments in the live chat, Xia Bingbing finally came back to her senses. It really did seem that way. She quickly explained, Jiang, you misunderstood. I'm hosting a LIVESTREAM event. It's about inviting high school classmates out for a chat. I don't know if you have time. I can wait for you. Seeing her say it like that, I had no choice but to agree. All right then, I'll be free next Saturday. I'll contact you then. But just at that moment, a sharp-tongued woman suddenly started scolding me harshly. Look what time it is. This takeout is already cold. Can it even be eaten? Hearing that voice from the phone, Xia Bingbing froze. And so did the viewers in the LIVESTREAM. This time, the classmate Bingbing invited turned out to be a food delivery guy. I think you should change to someone else next episode. What's so interesting about meeting a delivery man? We wanted to see an underdog's comeback. But perhaps reality is just that cruel. The vast majority of people are destined for mediocrity. Looking at the comments in the LIVESTREAM, Xia Bingbing suddenly felt uneasy inside. Although she knew this might lose some traffic, she didn't really mind. She forced a smile. Since I already made an appointment with Jiang, I won't break my promise. Besides, I believe no job is lowly. Delivering food is not a shameful job. They neither steal nor rob. They earn money with their own hands. That alone deserves our respect. These words made the viewers in the LIVESTREAM praise her. In the blink of an eye, it was Saturday. Xia Bingbing had already started the LIVESTREAM. The chat room was boiling with excitement. Ever since they learned that Bingbing's classmate was a food delivery guy, I couldn't help but imagine that classmate in a yellow jacket, riding an e-scooter to pick Bingbing up. Reading these comments, Xia Bingbing shivered slightly. That image couldn't help but flash in her mind as well. She couldn't help but stand stiffly. What's there to worry about? An e-scooter is just a means of transportation. She comforted herself in her heart. Before long, she arrived at the agreed location. At that moment, Xia Bingbing saw a luxury car slowly approaching. What surprised her even more was, the luxury car actually stopped right in front of her. Then the door opened, and out stepped an ordinary-looking man. With a smile on his face as he looked at her, Xia Bingbing frowned deeply. She had met plenty of people trying to strike up conversations, and most of the time she politely declined. Seeing Xia Bingbing's puzzled face, I smiled. "You're the former class beauty, right? You forgot we agreed to meet today." Xia Bingbing was instantly shocked, and the livestream chat was also filled with disbelief. No way, a food delivery guy. How could he possibly afford $1 million luxury car? I bet that car is rented. You guessed right. That car was rented from my family. Actually, Xia Bingbing wasn't sure if the car was rented or not. But when she saw a fan claim it was rented from their family, she stopped doubting it. But she didn't know the fan was just making it up. Hesitating, she asked, "Jiang Fan, this car?" Seeing Xia Bingbing's expression, I was also confused. What about the car? I was in a bit of a hurry when I left, so I just grabbed a random one from home. As soon as those words came out, the live chat exploded. For some reason, just seeing Jiang Fan made people annoyed. Clearly just a food delivery guy, yet pretending to be rich to get our goddess's attention. Disgusting. Disgust confirmed. Xia Bingbing completely ignored those malicious comments, and instead looked at me, feeling conflicted inside. Should she tell me directly that my identity was exposed? But she also knew I just wanted to make a good impression, so I rented a luxury car. At this moment, I knew nothing of this. Smiling, I invited her. It's almost noon. Why don't we find a restaurant for lunch? And have a chat as well? In the car, Xia Bingbing asked about my current job. I casually admitted I was a freelancer. This actually made her feel relieved. She was really afraid I would suddenly brag and claim to be the CEO of some listed company. That would only make the viewers laugh at me. Next, we talked about relationships. I told him I was already married with children. Hearing this, Xia Bingbing suddenly fell silent. She thought the same as some of the viewers. Clearly having a family, yet still renting a luxury car to save face. Then she asked about my wife. I sighed and said she's even busier than me with work. The family doesn't need the little money I make, so I can only support her. Hearing this, Xia Bingbing almost choked on her own saliva. The viewers in the chat started mocking like crazy. This guy is such a turnoff. Still pretending, saying the family doesn't need that little money, letting his wife go out to earn money, and saying it so shamelessly. Truly shameless, but at that moment, I couldn't help but smile like a loving father. During a red light pause, I pulled out photos of my children on my phone. Xia Bingbing took them absent-mindedly, then froze, and asked in disbelief, "These two children are really yours?" I gave a bitter smile and looked at her. These two kids are indeed my own. Don't you see how much they resemble me? And Xia Bingbing also realized how awkward her question was. She immediately apologized. Sorry about that. I was just a bit shocked. This scene made the livestream viewers even more curious. Everyone said they wanted to see too. After getting my permission to show the photos, Xia Bingbing pointed the camera at them, and the live chat immediately went wild again. Oh my god, they're so cute. These two kids must take after their mother. Didn't you all notice these two children look a lot like the diva the Kexen? They really do. Could it be that their mother is actually the diva the Kexen? How could that be possible? Even if the diva were blind, she wouldn't marry a food delivery man. Seeing the comments in the live chat, Xia Bingbing froze for a moment. She quickly picked up the phone to look more carefully. This was basically a miniature version of the diva. She suddenly grinned and asked, "Can I go to your house to see your kids?" The viewers also wanted to see the mini version of the diva. I smiled and nodded. This afternoon at 2, I'll pick them up from kindergarten. You can come with me then. Xia Bingbing immediately became excited. After all, the Kexen was her idol. Being able to meet a little version of her made her really happy. Soon, the car drove into the parking lot of an old restaurant. Getting out of the car, Xia Bingbing was shocked. She knew this restaurant had a 100-year history. Having just one meal here might cost an ordinary person's entire monthly salary, so Xia Bingbing quickly shook her head. The food here is too expensive. I think we should pick another place. Seeing this, I waved my hand. It's fine. We old classmates haven't met in so long. You don't need to be so polite with me. Besides, I don't really care much about money. Besides, making money for me is just a matter of minutes. But my answer made the viewers think I was addicted to pretending. This stubborn classmate is just too funny. Doesn't he know his own limits? Bringing our Bingbing to such a high-class restaurant. Although Xia Bingbing didn't look at the live chat comments, she knew for sure that viewers were laughing at me. She really wanted to tell me my food delivery identity was exposed. Not to keep bragging, but she didn't want to embarrass me either. Seeing Xia Bingbing suddenly go silent, I smiled and said, "All right then. I'll just show you how to make quick money." Fast. After saying that, I drove the car around the parking lot. When I spotted a $1 million sports car backing into a space, I suddenly accelerated and instantly parked right behind the sports car. At that moment, Xia Bingbing and the viewers were puzzled. There were plenty of parking spots. Why fight over this one? Just when the viewers thought I was about to scam something, my actions left them all stunned. The sports car owner angrily cursed, but I pulled out 800 yuan and handed it to him. I couldn't be bothered to find another spot. "Here's 800 yuan. Take it and go find another parking space. Let's just call it making a friend." But the sports car owner frowned. He pulled out his wallet from his pocket. Without even looking, he grabbed a handful of cash and threw it in my face. Then sneered, "I don't need this parking spot. I was showing off before you were even born." The beauty on his arm hugged him tightly and cooed, "Hubby, you were so manly just now," when they saw the sports car owner throw money and leave. The viewers' eyes widened in shock. Even Xia Bingbing couldn't believe it. But just then, I picked up the cash from the ground, smiled and said, "That guy is really rich. 6,500 yuan. Looks like today's lunch is covered." Xia Bingbing's mouth twitched a few times. This was something she could never do herself. But the viewers in the live chat were shocked. Holy crap. In just a few minutes, he got more than 6,000 yuan. That money was way too easy turn. I just tried this method myself and it worked. Made 100,000, and now I'm lying in the hospital, beaten up by the car owner. It didn't take long. I shook the cash in my hand, then walked into the restaurant with Xia Bingbing. She glanced at the menu. It was quite expensive. She felt uneasy inside. In her eyes, I only chose such an expensive place, just to save face. But seeing my calm demeanor made her feel a little dazed, as if I often came here. At that moment I shook my head and said to Xia Bingbing, "Classmate Xia, all along the way I've wanted to tell you something. Although I don't usually watch live streams, I think your live stream isn't good. It's boring and not engaging." Hearing this, Xia Bingbing froze. Why would you think that? She felt a little unconvinced inside. After all, she was a streamer with millions of followers. I shook my head and shared my thoughts. On this whole trip we barely interacted. Even if we're just ordinary classmates, this is still a live stream. Even with strangers, you need to act familiar and create conversation. Xia Bingbing's expression became a bit unnatural. Of course she knew that, but the problem was, she didn't dare say it out loud. However, the viewers in the chat reacted even more strongly. A food delivery guy pretending to be rich. How could Bingbing interact with him? Bingbing not interacting is just saving him face. If it were me, I'd say it to his face. You're just a food delivery guy. Stop pretending. And you want to tell me how to stream? Xia Bingbing noticed the comments and was stunned. She couldn't help sneaking a glance at me. Should she expose me? No. If she told me the truth, I would definitely be humiliated. But if she didn't say anything, my behavior would only make the viewers laugh at me more. Just as Xia Bingbing was struggling with whether to say it, a private message popped up. It was from her best friend and business partner, Zhou Xuya. "Bingbing, I know what you're thinking. Don't tell him the truth yet. Right now the live stream is at its peak popularity. After the stream ends, we can invite him to join our studio. I guarantee he can become an internet celebrity. He'll definitely earn more than delivering food." In Zhou Xuya's eyes, Jiang Fan was also talented. Not even mentioning his pretending. Just the way he turned parking into profit. That kind of thinking wasn't something ordinary people had. Seeing this private message, the heavy weight on Xia Bingbing's heart was lifted. I smiled and shook my head. Are the viewers mocking me for pretending again? Xia Bingbing's eyes widened instantly. How did you know? I smiled again and said, I also know that when we first met today, the viewers said my car was rented. Actually, you really don't need to care about online comments. You just need to know that people unhappy in reality reveal their true nature online, expressing their so-called opinions without restraint. It's nothing more than jealousy at work, laughing at others, resenting what others have. That's human nature. As a streamer, you should be more open-minded. Hearing this, Xia Bingbing was dumbfounded. Meanwhile, in the live stream, the viewers burst into laughter, nearly dying from it. Who does he think he is? An expert, a professor, and here he is lecturing people, a delivery guy. How could we possibly be jealous of him? The worst kind is someone broke still pretending. If I didn't know the truth, I might have thought he was some successful person. I didn't realize that my words just now angered so many viewers. I looked at Xia Bingbing and smiled. We're old classmates meeting again. So, don't worry about what others say. Relax, ask me whatever you want. No need to be so cautious. At that moment, Xia Bingbing suddenly realized. From the start until now, it seemed I was the one guiding the conversation, and even taking action personally later, teaching the viewers how to quickly take control. Thinking of this, she felt deeply ashamed. She took a deep breath, cleared away the chaotic thoughts in her mind, and asked seriously, Classmate Jiang, I remember back in senior year you often took leave. And didn't you skip the college entrance exam? I smiled and nodded. Yes, that year, some of my family's land was requisitioned. The compensation was several billion. Hearing this, the live chat exploded instantly. So, ridiculous. Only someone who didn't graduate high school would say that. Can knowledge really be measured with money? Money can run out someday. But knowledge flows endlessly like a spring. I agree with that. Without education, you won't make it. So here's the question. If you had a choice between billions in compensation, or admission to Tsinghua or Peking University, which would you pick? Xia Bingbing ignored the live comments and looked at me with confusion. So because of a few billion in compensation, you decided to drop out. I casually explained, the purpose of going to college is to gain more knowledge, but for me, there was nothing left in college worth learning. At that moment, Xia Bingbing had only one thought. You told me to ask freely. But you shouldn't answer so recklessly. As expected, the live chat was about to explode again. At the same time, viewers had already clipped my words, turning them into memes with captions like college has nothing left to teach. Making money is just a matter of minutes. Family demolition compensation, just a few billion. I never expected that my memes would spread rapidly online as if pushed by unseen hands. At this moment, Xia Bingbing looked at me with a complicated expression. She felt a bit of regret for not telling me from the start that my identity had already been exposed, which led to me getting more and more addicted to pretending, even though the food at this restaurant was extremely delicious. At this moment, she had no mood to taste it. She took a deep breath and looked at me. Classmate Jiang, you said your family's land was requisitioned, and the compensation was several billion, but as far as I know, aside from some cities, most rural land requisitions usually don't pay that much compensation. Hearing this, the live chat viewers immediately got excited. Great question, Bingbing, straight to the point. Let's see how he pretends now. However, I remain completely calm. Oh, so that's what you meant. Although most rural land compensation isn't high. That's true, but my family's land was special, so the compensation happened to be much higher. Hearing this, the live chat viewers mocked again. Bingbing, don't believe him. If there's really billions in compensation, I'll livestream myself eating shoe polish. No matter how special the land is, as long as it's rural. Forget billions in compensation. Even a few million is impossible. Xia Bingbing didn't care about the live comments. She just felt disappointed with my words. In her impression, I was always an honest and simple person. She didn't expect that after entering society, even simple people could become complicated and restless. Then her expression turned serious, and she gave me a lecture about life principles. I didn't bother to explain much, so I changed the subject and started talking about the past with her, jokingly saying, "Class beauty Xia, you still love lecturing others so much." Then I asked, "Do you know why I agreed to meet you?" "Why?" Xia Bingbing asked instinctively. Actually, she didn't think much of this question. Because whenever it came to inviting male classmates, the success rate was more than 90%. She didn't know why. Seeing her confused look, I gave a faint smile. Back in high school, I was rather introverted and not good with words, so no one ever took the initiative to talk to me. But you were the only one who often asked about my grades and encouraged me to study harder. Maybe for you, it was just a trivial matter. But for me, it made me feel I wasn't completely ignored. Hearing this, Xia Bingbing's cheeks flushed as she looked at me. "I think surely many others still remember you." It wasn't really because of my words, but because the reason she did that back then was actually just for class ranking. Of course, she couldn't say that out loud. Meanwhile, on a film set, many crew members were watching a stunningly beautiful woman in ancient costume. Her arched brows and delicate features suited the elegant role perfectly. Every gesture and movement exuded graceful charm. And this woman was none other than the so-called national goddess, the Kexen. For those who don't know the Kexen, she might seem arrogant, cold, and aloof, but those who know her well understand she is a very warm person. Many people were curious, who could possibly marry such a woman, whether inside or outside the industry? The Kexen's husband remained a mystery. But everyone knew her husband was extraordinary. Once, a president of an entertainment company tried to force the Kexen to accompany him, and even threatened to blacklist her if she didn't comply. But who would have thought that entertainment company went bankrupt in just a few days? This shocked everyone in the industry. That company had ranked among the top 3 in the country. This made many people realize the terrifying power behind the Kexen. At that moment, she was sitting in a chair reading a script, when a faint voice sounded by her ear. "This Jiang Fan is too funny." A guy who didn't even graduate high school, daring to say there's nothing left to learn in college. The Kexen thought she had misheard and didn't pay much attention, but the low voice came again. Actually, I could understand why Jiang Fan would rent a luxury car for a meetup. How ridiculous. So she stood up and walked over to the 2 girls. She asked, "I overheard you chatting so happily. What were you talking about? Can you tell me?" Seeing the Kexen suddenly appear beside them, the 2 girls hurriedly responded nervously, "Goddess, we were just watching a live stream. It's a very popular female influencer, live streaming meetups with her former high school classmates. And this time's male classmate is really interesting." Hearing the 2 girls, the Kexen took the phone and looked at the live stream. She saw an ordinary-looking man having dinner and chatting happily with a pretty woman, laughing and talking. Seeing this, the Kexen's eyes narrowed slightly. Her red lips curved into a faint, beautiful smile. This scene left the 2 girls stunned. She was just too beautiful. The Kexen returned the phone to them with a smile and apologized, then nodded slightly and left. After returning to her seat, she immediately took out her phone and opened that live stream. At this moment, the comment section was going wild. Everyone was saying Bingbing was the white moonlight of that ordinary-looking man. The Kexen read the viewers' comments, and her lips curved again. She continued to watch the live stream with interest, but when she saw comments saying the man was pretending to be rich, her brows furrowed slightly. The assistant next to her could even feel the surrounding air grow colder. Meanwhile, a man's voice interrupted my conversation with Xia Bingbing. It was my high school classmate, Lin Tianyu. He sat down pretending to be modest, but his eyes flashed with a hint of mockery when he looked at me. His arrival made all the female viewers in the livestream swoon. Xia Bingbing immediately stood up, ready to introduce him. But I spoke first. "I know. We met a few days ago. Then I invited him to join us for dinner." Just at that moment, A beautiful piano sound echoed through the hall. Before long, as the melody slowly faded away, the hall fell silent for a moment, then filled with applause. Lin Qianyu looked at Xia Bingbing with a smile. That pianist just now wasn't very good. How about I play a piece instead? After all, I am a student of Master Li Yiguo. Xia Bingbing's eyes widened. Everyone knows Li Yiguo is a renowned piano master in China. Lin Qianyu smiled confidently and slowly walked to the grand piano in the center of the hall. Enjoying the gaze of everyone around, he slowly raised his hands, then his fingers lightly danced on the keys. Like a noble prince. At once, all the women in the hall had their eyes drawn to him. Soon, the piano piece came to an end, and the hall burst into warm applause again. Though Lin Qianyu looked calm on the outside, inside he was very proud. Bingbing, what did you think of my playing? It sounded very good. Xia Bingbing had never formally studied piano. She just thought it sounded nice. After getting praise from the class beauty, he then cast a disdainful look at me, classmate Jiang. What do you think? Without thinking, I said, it was okay, but still far worse than the pianist earlier, who had performed just before. Lin Qianyu nearly burst out laughing at my words. He wanted to point at my nose and say, "You're just a food delivery guy. What do you know about piano?" In the live stream chat, some viewers also felt that Lin Qianyu's performance wasn't that great, but their opinions were quickly drowned out by haters. At this moment, Lin Qianyu said in a sarcastic tone, "Why don't you play a piece too, classmate? So I can learn from you." I nodded and slowly walked to the piano in the center of the hall. Then a graceful piano melody began to flow. It was the very same piece Lin Qianyu had just played. And the livestream chat instantly exploded. Damn. Jiang Fan can actually play the piano. This time he really pulled it off. It's clearly the same piece. But why do I feel Jiang Fan's playing sound better than Lin's? And it wasn't just the viewers who felt this way. Even Xia Bingbing was utterly shocked. Meanwhile, Lin Qianyu's expression grew darker and darker. At the same time, at the Longguo Kyoto Conservatory of Music, a classroom was filled with the sound of beautiful notes. All the students gathered around watching the live stream. Don't you guys think Jiang Fan's playing is even better than our teacher Liu's? The students whispered among themselves, unaware that a middle-aged man was walking toward them. The middle-aged man cleared his throat and sternly said, "Don't you know you're supposed to be in class? And you're even playing a Mozart piano piece." "Teacher, this isn't a recording. It's someone actually playing." The teacher froze for a moment, then quickly picked up a phone to look. His eyes flashed with shock. Seeing his expression, the students asked, "Teacher, how does your piano skill compare to his?" The teacher shook his head and said, "I'm not as good as him." All the students were stunned. After all, Teacher Liu's piano skill was among the best in the conservatory. The teacher quietly savored the music and sighed inwardly. This performer gave him the same feeling, as if it were Mozart himself playing. And Mozart was recognized worldwide as the #1 pianist. No one knew this performer's identity. The teacher saw the livestream chat, where some people belittled Jiang Fan's playing. He immediately grabbed a student's phone and replied, "I am a teacher at Kyoto Conservatory of Music. Here is my work ID, and here is my piano certification. I can confirm Jiang Fan's piano level is very high, at least higher than mine." As soon as this comment appeared, the entire livestream chat went wild with messages. Everyone knew the Kyoto Conservatory of Music holds a very high status in Longguo. Its reputation is extremely prestigious. Not to mention, at the Kyoto Conservatory of Music, being a teacher there. At this moment, Lin Qianyu noticed Xia Bingbing staring blankly at her phone, so he asked her what was going on. Xia Bingbing lifted her eyes and told him about what was happening in the livestream chat. After hearing this, Lin Qianyu frowned. Could it be that the teacher was fake? It's impossible, naturally, that Jiang Fan's piano skills could be that high. But not wanting others to think he was jealous, he explained, "Bingbing, you know very well. These days, the internet is full of truth and lies mixed together. Any picture can be faked." Lin Qianyu's words resonated with the trolls in the livestream chat. Lin is right. Who knows if that Kyoto Conservatory teacher was real or fake? These days, everything can be photoshopped. Maybe even that teacher's ID was just photoshopped. But what they didn't expect was, when teacher Liu saw people claim his credentials were fake, he immediately contacted the conservatory's publicity department and asked them to issue an official statement. When Xia Bingbing saw the announcement from Kyoto Conservatory, she was extremely excited and turned to Lin Tianyu. Look, Lin, Kyoto Conservatory just released a statement. They confirmed that teacher Liu really is a professor at the Kyoto Conservatory of Music. Ming Tian replied with a forced smile. I didn't expect student Jiang to be so talented. Even the academy's teachers praised him. A trace of resentment and jealousy flashed in his eyes. It should have been him who enjoyed the admiration of beauties. But everything was ruined by that bastard Jiang Fan. Yet at that moment, the once cheerful melody suddenly became brisk. It grew more rapid. The swift and lively notes echoed throughout the hall, like waves in a storm. It felt as if everyone's hearts followed the rhythm, at times surging with passion, at times tightening with tension. Everyone was stunned. They quietly immersed themselves in the music. After a while, I finished playing this Moonlight Sonata and slowly stood up. The entire hall fell into complete silence. After a brief stillness, everyone stood up and applauded. The applause filled the hall, even louder than when Lin Tianyu performed earlier. At that moment, I felt like a victorious general returning home. Student Jiang, I didn't expect you to be hiding such skills. You even pretended not to know piano before. That's not right. Ling Ting spoke with a kind smile. But between the lines, it implied I was being deceitful, that I clearly knew how to play, but pretended I didn't. I slowly shook my head and said, I lost. I only know a little. Lin Tianyu was speechless. You call that knowing a little? Then what would he be? But then he remembered Jiang hadn't even finished high school. No matter how well he played, what use was it? He was still just a delivery guy. Student Jiang, who did you learn piano from? Xia Bingbing asked curiously. I taught myself whenever I had spare time. Playing piano is just a hobby for me, I said with a smile. Hearing that, the livestream chat went wild again. Maybe this is what real life is like. Playing piano is a hobby. Delivering food is a livelihood. Facts have proven. No matter how talented a person is, without financial support, they still have to bow to reality. Seeing the comments in the livestream chat, Xia Bingbing's eyes suddenly grew complicated. Yes, he's no longer alone now. He has a family to support. He must work hard for them. There's not much time left to pursue personal interests. Student Jiang, if you're facing any difficulties, you can tell us. After all, we're classmates. If we can help, we definitely will. Even though this is a live stream, don't force yourself just for pride's sake. Ling Ting sighed softly. They both thought I stayed silent because I felt embarrassed during the live stream. Xia Bingbing also wanted to help me, but she chose not to speak during the stream. She planned to ask me afterward if I needed any help. But she didn't expect Lin Tianyu to speak first. She didn't think much of it. She thought Lin Tianyu meant well. Then Lin Tianyu took out a business card from his chest pocket. He handed it to me, and I looked at it. It read, President Lin Tianyu, Real Estate Company. Lin Tianyu gave a humble smile. It's nothing, just a small company. But our company is currently preparing to go public. By then, the market value might multiply several times. Of course, I could tell he was showing off. But I didn't care at all. I simply nodded lightly. At my indifferent attitude, Lin Tianyu frowned slightly. He felt very displeased inside, but he couldn't show it. During the rest of the dinner, most of the time, it was Lin Tianyu talking with Xia Bingbing. Seeing me quietly eating, a faint sense of guilt rose in Xia Bingbing's heart. I'll go to the restroom. When she felt it was about time, Xia Bingbing stood up. Paying the bill. Paying the bill. What restroom are you talking about? The previously quiet me suddenly smiled and said. Xia Bingbing instantly became flustered. She didn't expect me to see right through her intentions. Classmate Lin, please don't make things difficult for me. Our live stream rules state that all expenses incurred during the stream are covered by my company. I can get reimbursed later. I thought about it for a moment, then didn't refuse. A glint of satisfaction flashed in Lin Tianyu's eyes. In his mind, my quick agreement meant I couldn't afford the meal. Viewers in the live stream began mocking as well. Haha, that's hilarious. He only brought enough money for 3 dishes and 1 soup. Then Lin ordered a few more dishes. Now he's short on cash. Didn't he say he got billions in compensation? How come he can't even pay for 1 meal, and he still needs a girl to pay? Compared to my easygoing consent, Lin Qianyu strongly objected to Xia Bingbing paying the bill. He even said, paying the bill is a man's duty. That immediately earned him the favor of many female viewers. But the male viewers, on the other hand, looked down on him. They thought he was just a wolf in gentleman's clothing. His intentions were impure. As a result, the live stream chat instantly split into a gendered argument. How about this, I said. Let's call it even. That way, no one has to argue anymore, I suggested with a smile. At this moment, Xia Bingbing felt quite annoyed with Lin Qianyu. Originally, this meeting was supposed to be with me. It was fine that he joined, but he completely stole the spotlight. Just then, I suddenly called out to Xia Bingbing and took out a discount coupon from my wallet, handing it to her. But when Xia Bingbing took the coupon, she froze. A 90% off discount. She was stunned, and the viewers in the live stream were shocked too. No way. That's too generous. Even fracture discounts aren't that low. Wait. Wouldn't the restaurant lose money with a 90% off coupon? I figured it probably had something to do with my identity. Don't forget, he's a food delivery guy. He even knows the staff at this restaurant. So it's not strange that he got an internal discount. After seeing that comment, Bingbing suddenly understood. After paying the bill, I suddenly had something to deal with and left. That really surprised Xia Bingbing. She actually wanted to visit my 2 kids at home. In the afternoon, Xia Bingbing returned to the studio, but before she could even rest, her colleagues surrounded her to celebrate that the livestream had broken a record of 1 million concurrent viewers. And all of this was thanks to me. Lying on the sofa, Xia Bingbing turned to Zhou Shuya and said, because Jiang Fan suddenly left, I didn't get the chance to ask him about joining the studio. Zhou Shuya then told her to call and ask. But to their surprise, his phone number showed as out-of-service area. That naturally raised some questions. Because in Longguo, the infrastructure maniac nation, places with no signal practically don't exist. So now, they could only wait. The next day, Xia Bingbing started another live stream. After a heated discussion among viewers, she finally decided to meet up with a short, chubby classmate. It didn't take long to find her after asking around. They quickly agreed on a meeting spot. As Xia Bingbing waited for her high school classmate, she chatted with the fans in the live stream. But at that moment, a gentle voice suddenly sounded. Xia Bingbing turned her camera toward the direction of the voice. She filmed over there, and for a moment, all the viewers saw the newcomer. The comment section instantly exploded, because on screen appeared a stunning beauty. Liu Nan brushed back her wavy hair, instantly giving off an alluring, seductive aura. Xia Bingbing honestly didn't recognize her. After all, no matter what people go through after high school, they usually still retain some trace of their student days. But the woman in front of her, her appearance had completely transformed. Liu Nan's entrance instantly boosted the entertainment effect of the livestream to the max. But Xia Bingbing couldn't shake the feeling that there was something fake about her face. Especially when she smiled, her face looked a bit stiff. Then Xia Bingbing and Liu Nan chatted casually. That's when everyone learned that she was still single. She usually records her happy life through short videos. Her account, which had just over 10,000 followers, skyrocketed after the livestream, reaching over 100,000 in a short time. At the viewer's request, Xia Bingbing started digging into Liu Nan's current life and job. Viewers were eager to peek behind the curtain, but unexpectedly after that livestream, the views on Xia Bingbing's Meeting Classmates series started to drop noticeably. Zhou Shuya frowned slightly, deep in thought. Just as she expected, it turned out that Xia Bingbing's high school classmate Liu Nan had also started doing live streams, but with her middle school friends, and her stream title boldly claimed, Xia Bingbing's high school classmate, celebrity influencer Liu Nan. It was obvious she was riding the trend. No wonder Xia Bingbing's live streams were losing popularity lately. What made it worse was, Liu Nan gained over 1 million followers by riding that wave. Zhou Shuya had foreseen this day would come, but she didn't expect the betrayal. to come from Xia Bingbing's own classmate. However, when Xia Bingbing found out, she wasn't too bothered. After all, she was just the first to eat the crab. Followers and imitators were bound to appear, but surprisingly, Liu Nan and Jiang Fan weren't just high school classmates. They were also classmates in middle school. At that moment, Liu Nan was meeting with none other than billionaire Lin Tianyu. Blinking innocently, she suddenly brought me up. She said my family received billions in demolition compensation, and she was quite envious. But Lin Tianyu looked completely disdainful. He directly exposed, during the livestream, how pathetic I looked when I was delivering food. As the two of them talked about this, the viewers in the chat suggested that Liu Nan should meet me next time. As soon as my name was mentioned, Liu Nan's livestream popularity skyrocketed. In fact, before the stream began, Lin Tianyu had already met with Liu Nan, and bringing up my name was something they planned together, all to expose me as someone pretending to be rich. Liu Nan took advantage of the hype and dialed my phone number, but all she heard was the message saying my phone was out of service. Meanwhile, Zhou Xuya, seeing that Liu Nan couldn't reach me, secretly breathed a sigh of relief. She was really worried that Liu Nan might actually manage to contact me. After all, I currently had huge popularity on short video platforms, especially my reaction memes. They were iconic and widely shared. Standing like a giant on the shoulders of social media trends, I had been crowned the eternal pretender by fans. But in the next moment, Zhou Xuya thought of a key idea. She began persuading Xia Bingbing. Since last time, due to an emergency, I had left the live stream halfway through. She suggested that Xia Bingbing invite me again. But Xia Bingbing didn't want to see me mocked by netizens again. Zhou Xuya tempted her, saying, "It'll be good for him too. With this much buzz, he could earn hundreds of thousands from a single ad deal. That's much better than delivering food." After some hesitation, Xia Bingbing finally agreed. But just then, Liu Nan's repeated calls actually went through. On my end, I heard an overly seductive voice. Tiredly, I cut her off. "I'm not buying a car, not buying a house, not buying insurance, no loans, no investments. Thanks." And I hung up immediately. Liu Nan was dumbfounded, and so were all the viewers in the live stream. But some of them reacted quickly. Could it be that Jiang Fan thought it was a telemarketing call again? At that moment, Liu Nan came back to her senses. She dialed my number once more, afraid I might hang up again. She hurriedly explained, "It's me, your middle school classmate. I've been doing live streams recently, meeting up with old classmates. When I heard it was another reunion stream, I refused straight away." Hearing the beep 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 on the line, Liu Nan felt deeply upset. After all, she was usually the one hanging up on others. But since she was still live streaming, she could only end the stream and think of a plan later. Meanwhile, at the Bingya studio, Zhou Xuya and Xia Bingbing were watching Liu Nan's stream. Neither of them expected me to reject the call so decisively. A thought suddenly flashed through Xia Bingbing's mind. Could it be that, because of the online criticism, he couldn't handle it and went missing all this time? Thinking of that, she quickly grabbed her phone and called me. "Jiang Fan, it's me. I'm Xia Bingbing. I'm really sorry about the last livestream meeting. It was my fault that you got cursed online." Hearing that, I asked in confusion, "What are you talking about? Me getting cursed online?" Xia Bingbing froze for a moment. She instinctively asked, "You didn't know?" I laughed and replied, "Oh, that's what you meant. I told you last time, didn't I? The internet's full of jealous people. There's no need to take them seriously. You're not angry?" Xia Bingbing thought Jiang Fan would be furious, but to her surprise, Jiang Fan wasn't angry at all. Instead, he comforted her. "Why would I be angry? If the insults come from others, I can't stop them. There's no need to let that ruin my mood. No point in letting small things get to us. But as for the delivery part, I really did deliver food before. I even ran into Lin Tianyu on the road once. But that food delivery thing was just..." I paused briefly. "Just think of it as a hobby," I continued. "Actually, I've done more than deliver food. I've worked at construction sites, swept the streets, and even worked as a security guard. Delivering food was just for fun." Xia Bingbing and Zhou Xuya exchanged a glance. Even though the phone wasn't on speaker, the office was so quiet that Zhou Xuya could still hear my voice clearly. Lowering her voice, She leaned toward Xia Bingbing and whispered, "Forget about that for now. Ask Jiang Fan," she whispered, "if he has time to meet again in a few days. Do another live stream." Xia Bingbing hesitated. Previously, when Yunnan called Jiang Fan, asking him for a live stream meeting, he had turned her down several times, saying he was busy. But remembering how well the last one went, she couldn't help but ask, "Jiang, I have a favor to ask. Could you do another live stream meeting with me? The last one had such great results. Many viewers really want to see you again." Hearing that, I chuckled softly. I think they just want to laugh at me again. Xia Bingbing panicked, quickly apologizing. "I'm sorry, Jiang. I didn't mean it that way." "Sorry." I smiled casually and said, "Didn't I tell you before? I don't care about those online comments." "Then, could you meet me again? Because lately, the viewership of my stream has been dropping. And I also really want to see your two kids. You know, the national goddess is my idol. I just want to meet the two kids who look exactly like her." As she spoke, Xia Bingbing's voice grew softer, until she didn't know what else to say. "All right then," I said after thinking for a bit. "But it'll have to be in a few days." Xia Bingbing instantly brightened up. "No problem. A few days later is fine." After hanging up, Xia Bingbing turned to Zhou Xia, bursting with excitement. Zhou Xia couldn't help but laugh. "It's like you're setting up a meeting with some big celebrity or VIP. But then again, Jiang Fan's popularity now wasn't any less than that of real stars." Xia Bingbing giggled foolishly. She didn't even know why. Maybe it was guilt from causing Jiang Fan to get flamed before. Or maybe something else entirely. But could someone really be unaffected by online hate? So she curiously asked Zhou Xia. Zhou Xia thought for a moment and said, "It's possible. After all, Jiang Fan used to be a delivery man, and the reality delivery worker's face is far harsher than the internet." Xia Bingbing suddenly lowered her head and said softly, "I think maybe he still doesn't have a stable job. He's done so many different kinds of work. Really, so many kinds of jobs." Meanwhile, after finishing her live stream, Liu Nan went to a hotel together with Lin Tianyu. Lin Tianyu tightly wrapped his arm around Liu Nan's slender waist. But just then, Liu Nan's phone popped up with a trending topic about herself. She instantly got excited, but when she opened it and saw the content, she angrily pushed Lin Tianyu away. It turned out that Xia Bingbing had posted online that I agreed to meet her, and the news spread rapidly. But in Liu Nan's mind, I only agreed because I thought Xia Bingbing was pretty. That was the only reason. So she assumed I still saw her as the same girl from high school. Then a thought flashed through Liu Nan's mind. Her red lips curled into a sly smile. Finally, the day of Xia Bingbing's scheduled meeting arrived. As soon as the stream started, countless viewers flooded in. The heavens gave birth to Jiang the classmate, otherwise darkness would cover eternity. I wonder if he'll rent another luxury car this time to pick up the streamer? The chat scrolled nonstop with comments. Xia Bingbing saw some viewers still saying I was a fake rich guy, so she repeated the explanation I had given earlier. But the viewers didn't believe a word of it, seeing that she couldn't clear the misunderstanding. Xia Bingbing quickly changed the topic. She said, "Today's meeting isn't just an ordinary one. Today's main stars are actually Jiang's children." But the new viewers didn't take it seriously. They thought she was exaggerating. The hardcore fans, though, immediately got defensive. They proudly said, "His kids look just like the national goddess." Then they uploaded the screenshots they'd saved before. As soon as they did, the entire livestream room exploded in excitement. Jiang is insane. He's clearly trying to scam his way into fatherhood. When Xia Bingbing arrived at the meeting place with me, a deliberately surprised voice suddenly rang out. Xia Bingbing instinctively turned around. It was Liu Nan. She smiled charmingly. "What a coincidence. I just wanted to visit our old middle school. Didn't expect to run into you here. Are you streaming right now?" Xia Bingbing nodded. Her eyes showed a hint of confusion. Liu Nan, acting all friendly, waved at the livestream viewers. Seeing this scene, the audience started commenting wildly. What are the odds of this happening? Sure, the town isn't big, but to people who don't even live here anymore, meeting like this, that's not so easy. Wait, could it be that Liu Nan knew the streamer was meeting Jiang and came on purpose? Hey, don't say that. Jiang's just a show-off, not a superstar. No way a beauty would chase after him. But not long after, The live stream chat was suddenly flooded by Liu Nan's fans. They mocked and joked. How could that Jiang Fan ever be as popular as our Nan? Our Nan already has huge traffic. Why would she need to ride on Xia Bingbing's hype? I think it's the other way around. For a while, the comment section turned explosive. At that moment, I appeared in front of the camera, riding an electric scooter. The chat instantly went crazy. No one had expected my entrance to be this unpredictable. Liu Nan smirked to herself, her eyes full of disdain. Plain looking, poor, and pathetic. How could someone like him even get married? I wonder which woman was blind enough to pick him. Xia Bingbing realized what was happening and quickly stepped forward to greet me. But before she could speak, Liu Nan interrupted. Jiang, I heard from Dingding that you drive a luxury car worth millions. So, where's your luxury car? Xia Bingbing frowned slightly. Never mind how rude Liu Nan's question was. But seriously, who is supposed to be the real host of this stream? And as soon as I heard Liu Nan's words, I looked at Xia Bingbing in confusion. School committee member, is this your friend? Just as Xia Bingbing was about to introduce us, Liu Nan suddenly interrupted. Jiang, your memory is really bad. We were classmates in both middle and high school. I even called you a few days ago to invite you to a meeting. You turned me down back then? I thought for a moment. Then it came to me. Oh, right? You're the one who called me several times the other day. What was your name again? Liu Nan's face stiffened, but she still put on a flirtatious smile. Liu Nan. Jiang Fan nodded calmly. All right. I honestly didn't remember. I actually have our old graduation photo here. Xia Bingbing took out a photo from her shoulder bag. I accepted the photo and glanced at it, then looked up at Liu Nan in disbelief. She looks nothing like she used to. I shook my head slightly and handed the photo back to Xia Bingbing. Immediately, the chat filled with comments. It's obvious they're saying her face is totally plastic. Liu Nan also noticed the comments in the live stream. She quickly changed the subject. Anyway, Jiang, speaking of which, where's your $1 million car? Don't tell me you plan to take Bingbing around on that little scooter? She chuckled mockingly after saying that. She clearly wanted to see how this poor guy would respond. But I just smiled and shook my head calmly. We're going to the kindergarten to pick up the kids. Driving there isn't convenient. The road's too narrow. And besides, a luxury car would attract too much attention. So an e-scooter is much more practical, easy to park, and no traffic jams. The chat exploded with laughter at my explanation. As expected of Jiang, that excuse was flawless. He's not refusing to drive. He's just keeping a low profile, whether or not he really owns a luxury car. You've got to admit, taking a car to pick up kids at school is always kind of annoying. They always block the whole intersection every time. Everyone owns a car these days. Liu Nan didn't believe a word I said to her. I was just pretending. If I really had $1 million car, I'd probably drive it to school every day to show off. But I didn't care about Liu Nan's sarcasm. Instead, I turned to look at Xia Bingbing. It's about time to go. Committee member Xia, you don't mind riding the scooter, right? Not at all. Although she was surprised that I came on a small e-scooter, Xia Bingbing didn't really mind. But Liu Nan, standing nearby, looked very displeased. Still, she forced a smile. Can I come along too? I'm curious to see what Jiang's kids look like. Sorry, I said awkwardly. I only have 2 helmets, and according to traffic rules, an e-scooter can only carry 1 adult passenger. I then gestured for Xia Bingbing to hop on. As for Liu Nan, if she wanted to follow, she'd have to find her own way. Watching the scooter ride away, Liu Nan dropped her fake smile. Her eyes were full of disdain. All the way there, I focused on driving. Xia Bingbing sat behind me, holding her phone. Jiang, you're taking me to see your daughter. Won't your wife get mad if she finds out? She raised her voice, so I could hear her over the wind. No, I said. She's very busy. She doesn't have time to come. I kept my eyes on the road as I replied. A short while later, we stopped in front of a kindergarten gate. A tall, burly man smiled and greeted me. Xiaoming's dad, you're here too. Is this Xiaoming's mom? Oh no, you've got it wrong, I quickly explained. She's my high school classmate. We just happened to come together, I hurriedly clarified. As soon as we entered the kindergarten, Xia Bingbing noticed. Many parents were warmly greeting me. They seemed genuinely familiar with me. She couldn't help but feel curious. Why did everyone here seem to know Jiang so well? And why did they all treat him with such warmth and respect? Laughing, Xia Bingbing said, "Classmate Jiang, I just heard those parents call you Xiaoming's dad. Don't tell me your son's name is actually Jiang Xiaoming." I smiled and nodded. "Yeah, that's right. What's wrong?" Xia Bingbing looked surprised. "Don't you think that name is too simple?" "How could it be? Names with fewer strokes are easier to write. It's convenient, especially for kids in kindergarten. It'll help when he starts elementary school too." I chuckled softly. "What about your daughter's name then?" Xia Bingbing asked curiously. In her mind, Jiang Fan's daughter's name must also be something simple. Could it be Xiaohong or Jiang Yuanyuan? It's taken from *chuci*. She crossed the river and gained fame for her beauty. I answered without hesitation. Xia Bingbing's eyes lit up. She hadn't expected me to give my daughter such a beautiful and elegant name. "Wait a second, weren't you just saying simple names are easier to write and easier to remember?" "So what? This name took me a long time to come up with. I'm quite proud of it, actually." I smiled with satisfaction, but Xia Bingbing just looked at me strangely. Her expression froze. Meanwhile, the LIVESTREAM audience burst into laughter. At that moment, a loud voice suddenly drew everyone's attention. Liu Nan hadn't expected the road to the kindergarten to be so jammed. When she finally arrived, she was stopped by the security guards. So she started shouting my name loudly. I went over and quietly explained the situation to the guards. Only then did they let Liu Nan in. Meanwhile, several parents surrounded me, asking questions. Mostly because Liu Nan's outfit was far too revealing. In truth, Liu Nan looked down on me from the start, especially after hearing that I was the one who always picked up my kids. That made her even more disdainful. She guessed that my wife had probably run off with someone else. Thinking of that, she immediately ran over to ask the kindergarten guard, "Have you ever seen his wife?" After learning that I was the one always picking up the kids, many viewers in the live stream started to speculate. They guessed that since my wife never showed up, it meant she wasn't around anymore. Either something had happened to her or we were divorced. Meanwhile, in a film crew somewhere, the Kexan had finally finished filming for the day. She sat in her nanny van, heading back to the hotel for a rest. Suddenly, her phone pinged. Bingbing has started a live stream. Remembering what her husband had mentioned a few days ago, she opened the app to watch. The screen showed Liu Nan making wild guesses, along with the mocking comments scrolling across the chat. The Kexan's brows furrowed deeply. Over the years, though her husband had always supported her career, she knew she had neglected her family far too much, especially her husband and child. It seemed it was time to return home. Back at the kindergarten, Liu Nan, seeing that my wife hadn't appeared, directly asked me what my wife did for a living. How can she be so busy she doesn't even come watch her kid perform? I looked at Liu Nan and said calmly, "She's sort of an actress." Of course, Liu Nan didn't believe a word. When the viewers heard that my wife was an actress, many immediately began mocking. Liu Nan covered her mouth, pretending to be surprised, but the disdain in her eyes flashed for just a moment. So this guy's still pretending, as she thought. First he rents luxury cars to act rich, and now he's claiming his wife's a famous actress. Why don't you just say your wife is the national goddess, the Kexan? Her tone dripped with sarcasm. But when the audience heard that my wife was an actress, many were suddenly intrigued. Really? What movies or dramas has she done? Liu Nan pressed further. Xia Bingbing actually wanted to stop her from asking. But Liu Nan's questions came so quickly she couldn't intervene. "She's just a small-time actress," I said, shaking my head. "No way," Liu Nan thought, sneering inwardly. He doesn't even dare to say her name. Even if his wife really is an actress, she's probably just some extra with no lines. Otherwise, why hide it? I smiled faintly and replied, "Well then, would you believe me if I said my wife's unemployed?" I chuckled lightly. Liu Nan froze for a moment, unable to tell if I was joking or not. I smiled again and asked back, "Would you?" "What kind of joke is that?" Liu Nan suddenly burst out laughing. To her, that was the funniest thing she'd ever heard. If the national goddess the Kexan actually fell for this loser, she scoffed, "I'd run naked around the world myself." Xia Bingbing's heart sank completely. She knew my habit of pretending had flared up again. The viewers in the livestream also burst out laughing at my words. Ha, we all knew Zhuang Di liked to brag, but who knew he was this good at it? Sure, his kid does look a bit like the Kexan, but does he really think his wife is the national goddess herself? The comment section exploded with laughter and disbelief. At the same time, The kindergarten performance finally began. After the other classes finished their shows, it was finally my kid's turn to go on stage. I thought the parents must be looking forward to this performance. Now, let's welcome the children from Class 4 to bring us the martial arts performance Kung Fu Kids, with the host's passionate announcement. More than 10 children ran onto the stage. They were all dressed in yellow outfits, with red sashes tied around their waist. They cupped their fists toward the parents, their movements neat and well practiced. Before long, they split into pairs, facing each other and sparring back and forth, especially the fancy dodging moves. Many parents couldn't help but cheer loudly. Viewers in the live stream were completely stunned. I figured the kindergarten teachers must have invited some kung fu master to teach them. That scene instantly pushed Xia Bingbing's live stream to its peak popularity. Xia Bingbing turned around and glanced back. Behind her, a row of parents were watching the stage with great interest. Someone said, "It's still Xiaoming's dad who's amazing." Xiaoming's dad. Yes, all these kids were taught martial arts by Xiaoming's dad. A faint voice drifted into Xia Bingbing's ears. To confirm her suspicion, she leaned toward me and whispered, "Classmate Xiang, I heard people say this program was designed by you." "I just know a bit of basic martial arts," I said. "Nothing special." I shook my head and smiled. "So it really was you. You even know Kung Fu." Xia Bingbing was astonished. The livestream viewers were shocked too. Soon, the martial arts performance ended. The kids' Kung Fu show was absolutely brilliant. Even I felt fired up watching it. Next up, let's welcome the children from Class 3. Presenting the safety education fairy tale Good Bunny. With the host's cheerful introduction, uneven clapping filled the surroundings. Xia Bingbing looked toward the stage, her eyes lighting up. At that moment, 3 adorable children dressed as little bunnies appeared. They sang in sweet, childish voices, while hopping happily around the stage. Leading them was my daughter. Her tiny face, just like the national goddess the Kexans, made Xia Bingbing's heart almost melt. She was simply too cute. Listening to the song on stage, Xia Bingbing thought it sounded nice, but strangely, she had never heard it before. Just then, at the kindergarten gate, a tall, muscular man climbed over the wall. He had a scruffy beard, his clothes messy, rushing straight toward the stage. The security guard noticed the man holding a kitchen knife. His expression changed instantly as he shouted and ran forward. But since music was still playing on stage, the parents didn't hear the guard's warning at all, let alone have time to react. However, I suddenly stood up. Only then did the nearby parents realize what was happening. The scene instantly descended into chaos, but Liu Nan's eyes lit up. She held up her phone, pointed it at the burly man, and started live streaming. Viewers finally understood why the kindergarten had suddenly become chaotic. They now saw what was happening. Liu Nan's account instantly skyrocketed in popularity. Xia Bingbing merely gave Liu Nan a cold glance. Then her eyes filled with worry as she looked at me. But the difference in build between me and the knife-wielding man was enormous. Even if I advanced, there was no way I could stop him in such a short time. The timid ones had already covered their eyes, unable to bear witnessing the coming bloodshed. But just then, I quickly reached into my pocket. A flash of light gleamed briefly. The knife-wielding man who was about to charge at the children suddenly seemed to trip over something. He fell face first to the ground. At that moment, the fallen man struggled to get up, knife still in hand. His face twisted with rage as he glared at me, and just as he was about to strike, I tilted my body slightly, dodging the knife swing from the attacker. Then I suddenly lifted my leg, without giving the knife-wielding man any chance to react. With a sweeping kick, I sent him flying several meters away. Everyone stared blankly at the scene. The security guards who had been rushing over, and several parents nearby, all froze for a moment. Their movements halted. No one expected that I could take down the attacker in one move. Xia Bingbing was the first to rush over and ask if I was okay. She still couldn't quite believe it, that my so-called little bit of kung fu was actually this powerful. But suddenly, Xia Bingbing noticed a comment appear in the live stream. A viewer had posted an animated image. The animation showed me facing the attacker. And at the same time, as he lunged forward, my right hand darted into my pocket and flicked something sharply. Immediately after, the attacker suddenly fell to the ground. The animation wasn't very smooth. It looked like a series of still images switching frame by frame. Xia Bingbing was dumbfounded, her eyes filled with confusion. Could it be that the attacker hadn't tripped over something by accident, but was actually struck by something I had thrown? When the frame froze on the moment, I pulled a coin from my pocket between the fingers. The entire live stream exploded with shock. Holy crap, how did he do that? In other words, the knife-wielding man had been knocked down by the coin I threw. After hearing Jiang's earlier claim that he only knew a bit of basic martial arts, I now had my doubts. Could it be that classmate Jiang was actually a hidden martial arts master, living quietly among ordinary people? Xia Bingbing was utterly shocked. She couldn't help but ask curiously, Jiang, do you actually know how to use hidden weapons like in TV dramas? I waved my hand and smiled. Hidden weapons? Of course not. I just have pretty good aim when throwing things. That's all. Suddenly, a soft, sweet voice rang out. Xia Bingbing instinctively turned to look, and her eyes widened in surprise. She saw a little girl, about 3 years old, running toward us. The girl was adorably sweet and pretty, like a tiny fairy who had just stepped out of an anime. She was my daughter, Jiang Yuan. Xia Bingbing swallowed hard, putting on what she thought was a gentle smile. But it ended up looking more like the grin of a weird ant. Daddy, who is this beautiful big sister? Yuan blinked her bright, sparkling eyes, glancing curiously at Xia Bingbing as she asked. I smiled and explained, she's Daddy's classmate. You should call her Aunt Xia. But Yuan pouted, seeming a little unhappy. Daddy, you're wrong. She's clearly a pretty and kind big sister. At that moment, Xia Bingbing, her heart almost melted from the cuteness. This little one is an angel, she thought, because of the sudden attack by the intruder. The kindergarten performance couldn't continue. The teachers apologized sincerely, and many parents began to leave one after another. By this time, Xia Bingbing knew the live stream for today's visit should come to an end. She looked at Yuan with a trace of reluctance, but no matter how unwilling she was, parting was inevitable. Yet unexpectedly, Liu Nan grinned and said, since we're already here, why don't we stop by Jiang's house for a visit? Xia Bingbing immediately understood Liu Nan's intention. If they really went to my home, the truth about me pretending to be wealthy would be exposed instantly. That was definitely not something Xia Bingbing wanted. The livestream audience began to buzz with excitement. Many were eagerly waiting to see my real life revealed, but some viewers disagreed with going. They said I should at least be left with a shred of dignity. Xia Bingbing also refused Liu Nan's suggestion. She had already discussed it with me beforehand. We were only supposed to watch the kids' performance together. That's all. Besides, she also wanted to give me some dignity in the end. However, Liu Nan looked at me with a sly grin. She guessed I would probably refuse. But then she heard me say, when I said my little electric scooter couldn't carry that many people, she almost burst out laughing. He forced himself to hold it in, and said she could just take a taxi instead. Then I told them my home address, and took my child with me on the electric scooter. After watching me ride off into the distance, Xia Bingbing also ordered a car online. When the driver saw the address, he chuckled and asked, you're going to Kaohsiung Village? Sitting in the passenger seat, Xia Bingbing looked puzzled, because the address I'd given them was actually the security booth at a crossroads. But Liu Nan, sitting in the back seat, frowned slightly. She felt like she had heard of Kaohsiung Village somewhere before. Driver, does Kaohsiung Village really sit by a mountain? Xia Bingbing was curious too. The name of that village sounded odd. It used to, but not anymore. The middle-aged driver joked. What do you mean by that? I don't quite get it, Xia Bingbing said. What do you mean by used to, but not now? Have you heard of the Wusong Scenic Area? The driver asked with a grin. Wusong Scenic Area? At that moment, Liu Nan's face froze in shock. No wonder, she thought. That's why Kaohsiung Village had sounded so familiar. She'd heard of it before, because of the Wusong Development Project. It turned out the Kaohsiung Village redevelopment was part of the scenic area's expansion plan. Most notably, the real estate company had not only built villas for every villager in Kaohsiung Village, but also paid huge compensation fees, some as high as several hundred million yuan. Liu Nan suddenly recalled what I'd said before. It couldn't just be a coincidence, could it? She had always thought classmate Jiang was bluffing. What's wrong, Liu Nan? Xia Bingbing turned back, puzzled, to look at her. The driver then gave Xia Bingbing a brief explanation. Only then did she understand why Liu Nan looked so shocked just now. When the live stream viewers heard what the driver said, they were stunned. Instantly, the comment section erupted in disbelief. Everyone began speculating wildly. When they finally arrived at the destination, when Xia Bing and Liu Nan arrived, they saw me riding my little electric scooter not far away. In the distance, rows of luxurious villas came into view. This isn't a village at all. It's clearly a high-end villa district. Those who had mocked me earlier for pretending to be rich were now all completely humiliated. Instead, Xia Bingbing smiled sweetly and glanced at Liu Nan. Liu Nan let out a cold snort in her heart. She still didn't believe it. In her mind, I must have made preparations in advance. Maybe I had rented a villa here ahead of time. After all, the villagers of Kaotian Village had each received huge compensation sums. Naturally, most of them had moved to the big cities. Who would still live in such a small place, without proper schools or hospitals? So there must be plenty of empty villas. And those empty villas were probably rented out for parties or gatherings. But once they entered the village, an elderly man with a walking stick slowly approached them. He smiled warmly and greeted me. Yuan, standing on the scooter, politely waved and greeted the old man too. Hello, Grandpa C. The old man grinned broadly, pulling a few candies from his pocket. After that, I ran into several more familiar villagers and greeted them too. Xia Bingbing smiled politely and nodded to each one. The live stream chat instantly exploded. The haters just got slapped in the face. Did you hear how they called him? They're clearly family friends. Soon, I led them to a large estate. When we reached the courtyard gate, both Xia Bingbing and Liu Nan instinctively straightened up. Suddenly, the gate opened, and as they stepped inside, they saw a luxury car parked prominently in the yard. Xia Bingbing immediately recognized it. It was the very same car I had driven during our first meeting. At that moment, the live stream erupted. Holy crap, we're the real clowns here. Whoever said Jiang was just a food delivery guy, I'll kick them myself. How could a delivery guy afford a car like that? The entire comment section went wild with disbelief. Isn't it possible that classmate Jiang delivers food just to kill time in his boring life? After entering the yard, Xia Bingbing noticed how spacious it was. But just then, a strange sound suddenly echoed through the air. It sounded like the grunt of a pig. Moments later, a huge pig, with black markings on its back, charged straight toward them. Xia Bingbing and Liu Nan froze in place. By the time they realized what was happening, the black pig had already rushed right up to them. Suddenly, Yuan's soft and cheerful voice rang out. The next scene left everyone speechless. The pig stopped right in front of Yuan. As if welcoming her home, I smiled and explained, that's Yuan's pet. Then Yuan climbed onto the pig's back. Xia Bingbing was stunned. She turned to look at me in disbelief, wondering how I would react as her father, but I was already used to it. Yuan often rides that pig around the village for fun. Just then, a graceful and elegant woman stepped out of the house. She looked surprised to see Xia Bingbing and Liu Nan standing there. But when she learned they were my high school classmates, she warmly invited them into the house. Inside, it wasn't as luxurious as the viewers had imagined, but its unique and tasteful design gave off a surprisingly comfortable vibe. At that moment, my phone rang. I apologized and asked my mom to entertain them for a bit, but Liu Nan suddenly moved closer to my mom, sweetly complimenting how well she'd aged. She said she looked really young. Liu Nan's sudden change in attitude left Xia Bingbing feeling suspicious. She didn't expect Liu Nan was actually trying to pry for information. And sure enough, my mom smiled and began chatting casually, mentioning how we hadn't always lived here, and how, when I was little, I used to do farm work, carry pig baskets, cut grass, and feed pigs and cattle. Liu Nan pretended to be surprised and said, every family here received quite a bit of compensation money, huh? My mom chuckled and replied, we were just lucky. But in Liu Nan's eyes, that wasn't just luck. It was like fortune had fallen straight from the sky. They were once just a bunch of simple villagers living deep in the mountains, yet somehow ended up with wealth that most people couldn't earn. even after working for several generations. What puzzled Liu Nan even more was, what exactly did that developer see in Wusong Mountain? Meanwhile, the livestream viewers started digging up old news articles. I just looked it up, one commented. The company developing the Wusong scenic area only had a registered capital of 10 million yuan. And the only project it ever developed was Wusong itself. That made everyone start to wonder. It seemed like the company had been created solely for the purpose of developing that one scenic area. Reading through the comments, Xia Bingbing didn't know whether to laugh or cry. But what shocked her the most was, the things I had said during our very first meeting turned out to be true. Thinking back on it now, she had even planned to invite me to join her livestream studio. Now that she thought about it, she felt like such a fool. At that moment, Liu Nan, who had always looked down on me before, probably had some bad intentions stirring in her mind. But the problem was I was already married and had a child. Then, when the conversation turned to my wife, Liu Nan suddenly found a new topic to dig into. She asked curiously about her. My mom sighed and said, she only comes home every few days. In other countries that might be normal, she added. But here in Longguo, a daughter-in-law who doesn't care about her family, no mother-in-law could really accept that. But the next second, my mom smiled and said she still supported my wife's work. That instantly filled the livestream comments with admiration. Now that's what a real mom looks like. A mother-in-law who treats her daughter-in-law like her own, so rare. Seeing those comments, Xia Bingbing suddenly remembered. I had once said before, my wife is just an ordinary, unknown actress. A small-time actress. But would a small actress really be gone from home that often? In her memory, only top-tier stars traveled around constantly with film crews. Liu Nan, pretending to defend my mom's dignity, began criticizing my wife. But when my mom suddenly froze mid-sentence, it became clear she was caught off guard. After all, her daughter-in-law being called a small-time actress must have stunned a little. When Liu Nan saw my mom's reaction, her suspicions deepened. Could it be she's not just a background actress? Liu Nan felt there might be something more to dig out here, so she directly asked about my wife's name and the projects she'd worked on. But my mom suddenly looked hesitant. Thankfully, Xia Bingbing quickly changed the subject. However, Liu Nan, chasing clicks and attention, wasn't about to give up that easily. Viewers noticed my mom's awkward expression, and speculation ran wild. They guessed my wife was probably some 4th or 5th tier minor celebrity. After all, in their eyes, I was just a small guy who got rich off demolition money. The livestream comments soon turned overwhelmingly one-sided. I just don't get it, one wrote. How could classmate Jiang marry some washed-up B-list actress? The entertainment industry is such a mess, I know. I'm part of it, another added. There's no one clean in there. Many viewers couldn't understand why I'd marry a small celebrity. But suddenly, one comment instantly caught everyone's attention. Doesn't Jiang's daughter look a lot like the national goddess the Qing? Putting all the clues together, the commenter continued. Isn't it possible that classmate Jiang's wife is actually the Kexan? When people saw that, the livestream exploded in laughter. They couldn't believe it. No way would the nation's goddess marry a so-called nouveau rich like me. Meanwhile, back at her hotel, the Kexan herself was scrolling through the same livestream comments. Her fair, delicate face immediately turned sour, because that Jiang's wife is the Kexan comment had actually been posted by her. She just hadn't expected that netizens would start mocking her instead. Watching the ridicule, she almost wanted to announce it publicly right then. But she knew negative press and public scrutiny would only cause unnecessary trouble for her husband. So she could only sit there, stewing quietly. Still, her eyes were full of happiness. Marrying him had been the best decision of her life, without a doubt. Meanwhile, the viewers in the livestream kept guessing which female celebrity my wife really was. Even some of the recently popular young starlets, like Li Yu and Ruru, got dragged into the mix. When Xia Bingbing noticed the netizens' wild guesses, her brows furrowed tightly. She was known as the Kexan's #1 fan, and without question, Li Yu Ruru's #1 hater. The reason was simple. When Li Yu Ruru debuted, she introduced herself everywhere as Little the Kexan. But to everyone's surprise, after she became famous last year, she started hating it when people called her Little the Kexan. In Xia Bingbing's opinion, that wasn't such a big deal. But what really made her furious was that Li Yu Ruru actually dared to say her acting skills were better than the goddesses. She even belittled the Kexan in many interviews. What angered Xia Bingbing even more was that Li Yu Ruru's private life was a complete mess. Paparazzi had caught her late at night with certain directors, discussing scripts. She was seen playing mahjong with young actors, and even going to hotels with wealthy heirs. But every time she was photographed, Liu Ruru flatly denied everything. She even hinted that the person in the photos wasn't her, but the national goddess the Kexan instead. That was something Xia Bingbing absolutely couldn't tolerate. Before long, an official statement appeared on Liu Ruru's social media account. It declared that she was unmarried, didn't know me, and had no children. She would take legal action against all rumor spreaders to protect her rights. But despite the announcement, many netizens didn't believe her. Liu Ruru already had a terrible reputation online. Liu Nan also noticed the ongoing speculation. She thought that if Liu Ruru really was my wife, then I must have been cheated on countless times. And sooner or later, she'd definitely file for divorce. After all, given Liu Ruru's current fame and fortune, let's be honest, I was completely out of her league. Just then, I finished my call and came back inside. I smiled and looked straight at Liu Nan. "Liu, classmate," I said. "You're dying to know what drama my wife acts in, right?" Liu Nan forced an awkward, innocent smile. In a soft, pitiful tone, she replied, "I'm just curious, that's all. Nothing more." My tone remained calm, but Xia Bingbing, standing beside me, could clearly sense a hint of coldness in my voice. Still, Xia Bingbing wasn't surprised, even though she hadn't known me for long. She understood that I was a person who usually spoke gently, but even the calmest person has their limits, and Liu Nan had clearly crossed them. After finishing my call, I greeted the two of them briefly. "There's something going on at the scenic area," I said. "I need to head there." When my mom heard I was leaving in a hurry, she immediately looked worried. I shook my head and reassured her it wasn't anything serious. Then I asked Xia Bingbing and Liu Nan to stay at my house for a while. Xia Bingbing was curious, of course, but she also understood that some matters weren't her place to ask about. Liu Nan, however, wasn't nearly as considerate. She'd been streaming for a long time, but this was the first time she'd ever had such high viewership. There was no way she'd give up that kind of traffic. She knew I had something important to do, yet she kept pushing. I couldn't tell if she was just socially clueless, or if she'd simply sacrificed her dignity for views. When Liu Nan noticed my expression darken, she quickly tried to throw Xia Bingbing under the bus. In her mind, Xia Bingbing would surely join her in chasing the clout by tagging along to the scenic spot. But to her utter shock, Xia Bingbing refused without hesitation. Liu Nan's smile froze instantly. She hadn't expected Xia Bingbing to embarrass her on the spot. She silently began to resent Xia Bingbing for it. I didn't bother responding to Liu Nan's protest anymore. I simply turned around, got on my e-scooter, and left. After I was gone, Xia Bingbing looked over at the adorable, well-behaved Yuan Yuan. She almost couldn't resist the urge to hug her, seeing Yuan Yuan quietly reading on the sofa. She smiled. Finally, she'd found a way to start a conversation. However, the book Yuan Yuan was reading turned out to be about human psychology. At that point, not only Xia Bingbing, but even the netizens watching, couldn't believe that a 3-year-old child could possibly understand a book for adults. But Xia Bingbing didn't say anything critical. After all, even children have their pride. Liu Nan, however, wasn't nearly as considerate. She forced a gentle smile and tried to coax my daughter. She told her that if she read the book out loud, she would give her a reward. In her mind, a child's reward could only mean toys or candy, something cheap and easy to handle. But to her surprise, my daughter Yuan Yuan asked for something else, a pair of glasses that could travel between worlds. That left her utterly confused. It wasn't until she saw the comments from netizens saying, "That's the hottest Vedic glasses this year," that she finally realized those glasses could simulate various settings, letting users experience a world that felt like time travel. It gave people the illusion of crossing dimensions. The price, however, varied widely. She figured she could just buy a cheap one to humor the kid. That should do the trick, she thought. But the class beauty, Xia Bingbing, interrupted her right then. She kindly reminded classmate Liu Nan to check the price first. What she saw next nearly made her jaw drop. That immersive long-term vision headset. Even second-hand models cost tens of thousands. But then, unexpectedly, my mom stepped in and said there was no need for Liu Nan to spend money, because before Yuan Yuan got home from school, I had already told my mom to put one in her room. Upon hearing this, Yuan Yuan climbed onto the back of the black pig nearby and charged straight toward her room. The live stream audience was stunned. So, the pig was her transportation too. But when Yuan Yuan returned holding a beautifully crafted box, everyone watching could clearly see the word Max engraved on it. The entire live stream exploded like a bomb. Countless viewers flooded the official Longtang Group account with comments. When is the Max going to be released? They asked. The customer service staff were completely dumbfounded. To calm the outrage, they patiently explained that the Max hadn't even been released to the public yet, but netizens refused to believe it. They insisted that the proof was already shown live online. Soon, Longtang Max and Longtang glasses shot straight to the top of the trending list. The incident even alarmed the senior executives of Longtang Group. At that moment, an anxious female secretary hurriedly handed a tablet to a middle-aged man. She explained everything that was happening in Xia Bingbing's livestream. A flash of shock immediately appeared in the man's eyes. Since the teaser release of the Max Edition glasses earlier that year, the market had been flooded with imitation Vita glasses that copied its design. But the one shown this time was unmistakably genuine. When he saw that the official Longtang Group account had already posted a public statement, his expression darkened immediately, jumping to conclusions before confirming the facts. That was a major business taboo. As a senior executive of Longtang Group, he knew certain inside information. Although this version of the glasses hadn't been officially released to the public, production had already begun long ago. It was only halted temporarily due to certain undisclosed reasons. Immediately, he ordered the secretary to have a clarification notice issued at once. When Longtang Group's official clarification went public, netizens instantly began sharing it everywhere. Liu Nan, seeing this, couldn't hide her gloating. She held up her phone, grinning at Yuan. "The one in your hands is fake," she said. But Yuan calmly replied, "The manufacturer naturally knows which products are real. But not everyone else does." Those words, far beyond her age, left Xia Bingbing completely stunned. Was this really a 3-year-old child? Moments later, the livestream chat exploded again, flooded with comments about Longtang Group's new follow-up announcement. When Xia Bingbing clicked to read it, she was completely stunned. It stated that the person managing the company's account had posted incorrect information and had now been dismissed. After this unexpected move from Longtang Group, people began to grow even more suspicious. Liu Nan refreshed the page. The previous statement had already been deleted. Her expression instantly turned ugly, because the official Longtang account's own contradictions had drawn massive attention. Countless tech enthusiasts flooded into the livestream to see for themselves. This group of tech enthusiasts believed that Longtang's glasses were packed with cutting-edge technology. All it would take was a simple test to prove whether they were real or fake. But Xia Bingbing felt a bit troubled. If they were genuine, that was fine. But if they weren't, she feared Yuan might tell her father about it. Seeing the livestream's soaring popularity, Liu Nan had no intention of letting it go. The massive traffic tempted Yuan as well. "You said this Longtang 5th generation headset is real, right? Then let Annie try it." "No, not you," Yuan replied. "I'll only let big sister try." Lifting her little chin proudly, Yuan urged Xia Bingbing to hurry up and put them on. She wanted everyone to be completely convinced. Looking at Yuan's serious, determined face, Xia Bingbing's heart nearly melted. As the saying goes, joy is best when shared. Xia Bingbing immediately turned the livestream camera toward Yuan. Her focused little expression instantly melted every viewer's heart. When Xia Bingbing finally put on the glasses, everything around her went pitch black. The next moment, she was completely stunned. The spacious living room and everyone nearby suddenly vanished. She found herself standing in a dazzling virtual world. A fluffy baby panda rolled right up to her. Without thinking, Xia Bingbing reached out her hand, and the soft, plush feeling made her gasp in awe. It felt just like petting a real cat. "This feels way too real," she exclaimed in astonishment. Meanwhile, in the real world, netizens watched Xia Bingbing talking to herself, reaching out and touching the air, and immediately started debating whether the glasses were real or fake. When Xia Bingbing finally removed the headset, her expression was utterly serious. She firmly declared that the Longtang Max glasses were genuine. Hearing her vivid description of the experience, netizens immediately recalled what Longtang said during their press event, that the AI assistant Adu was a panda. But Liu Nan still didn't believe it. In her mind, Xia Bingbing was just putting on an act. Moments later, pretending to be surprised, she suggested that she should try it too. Many netizens quickly agreed with the idea. After all, they couldn't just rely on Xia Bingbing's words alone. Then, Under the gaze of everyone present, Liu Nan put on the Longtang Max glasses. In the blink of an eye, netizens noticed that her actions were exactly the same as Xia Bingbing's, practically identical. But at this moment, Xia Bingbing started to regret it. She shouldn't have told the truth, because the Longtang Glasses Max hasn't even been released yet. So she suspected that I must have obtained it through improper means. That could easily get me into legal trouble. Right now, she actually hoped Liu Nan would hide the truth. However, when Liu Nan took off the glasses, she didn't disappoint Xia Bingbing. She pretended to be surprised and said, against her conscience, that there was a bit of tactile feedback, but compared with reality, it was still far from perfect. Yet who could have guessed, when Liu Nan saw her live stream views skyrocketing? She admitted it was indeed the latest Longtang glasses. In an instant, netizens began to bombard Longtang's official account. But the Longtang group still gave no response. Customer service only replied with "we're not sure." That made everyone even more curious. Where did I get it from? And those with bad intentions started doubting me. At that moment, only Yuan, the little kid, was happy, because she thought she had stood up for her dad. But Xia Bingbing was deeply troubled. She didn't even know how to explain anymore. If it had been a legal purchase, there'd be no problem. But the issue was it's an unreleased product. However, for the sake of live stream popularity, Liu Nan acted even more curious. She started probing my mom for answers. When everyone heard I didn't buy it, but that it was a gift from a friend, they couldn't believe it. They all thought it was just an excuse to hide the truth. After all, the Longtang glasses sell out instantly once released. They cost as much as a house down payment, and after being scalped, the price could easily double. Xia Bingbing wanted to stop Liu Nan from asking further. But my mom had already revealed that my friend gave us not just one pair. At that point, they concluded that I must have colluded with internal staff for money. Then Liu Nan pressed even further. She thought that if she could reveal my friend's name, she could surely cling on to Longtang's big shot connections. But soon after, the power of the netizens came into play. All it took was a single name. They eventually dug out my friend's true identity. They had no idea before checking, but once they did, they were shocked. My friend turned out to be the president of Longtang Group. Xia Bingbing suddenly realized too, if that was really the case, then the president of Longtang gifting his own unreleased product to a friend didn't seem like a problem. But Liu Nan, who was smug moments ago, froze completely. The Longtang president is worth tens of billions. He made his fortune from property redevelopment. How could he possibly know someone like me? Then suddenly a thought flashed in Liu Nan's mind. She quickly searched the president's photo on her phone and showed it to my mom. Soon after, she confirmed it was indeed him. But Liu Nan's repeated questioning and insinuations made my mom lose patience. She pulled out an old group photo. Pointing at the blonde guy on the right, she said, "That's President Longtang." Liu Nan could no longer argue back, because the blonde man in the picture really did look just like today's Longtang president. Even the netizens were amazed. They joked that the calm, low-key CEO used to be a flashy youngster. And judging from the photo, it seemed Jiang had known him even before his success. Everyone agreed I must have had incredible luck to have such a powerful friend. It's like if you had been close with Papa Ma back when he was still just a teacher. Zhang Zubin, the founder of Longtang, was without doubt a man of legendary stories. He started from scratch, a true grassroots dreamer, and became a world-renowned tech tycoon. As soon as President Zhang Zubin of Longtang was revealed, Xia Bingbing's livestream popularity soared to an unprecedented new height. Meanwhile, inside Longtang Group, General Manager Liu Wakyang watched the entire livestream carefully. He secretly felt relieved and thought, "Good thing we didn't deny Yuan's glasses earlier." Just then, a netizen suddenly thought of an unbelievable possibility. He suspected that my connection with Zhang Zubin might actually come from the past, because I was one of the early investors in Longtang Group. That comment flashed quickly across Liu Nan's screen, but it immediately caught her attention. She hurriedly asked my mom about it. But after hearing her deny it, she pretended to look disappointed and sympathetic. In truth, she was gloating inside. However, when my mom mentioned the several hundred million yuan she got from the demolition payout, Liu Nan was instantly speechless. But surprisingly, A glint of greed flashed in Liu Nan's eyes, because she remembered reading a report before that Jiang Zubin was still unmarried. So she leaned closer to my mom, pretending to ask on behalf of fans for the release date of the Max Edition glasses. She actually wanted to get Jiang Zubin's contact info, although most viewers didn't think much while watching the stream. Some clever ones quickly caught on. They mocked Liu Nan, calling her a small influencer, trying to get a tech mogul's number. What a joke. Everyone knew her intentions weren't pure, but the tech enthusiast who had flooded in earlier didn't care about any of that. They only wanted to know if they could buy the glasses from me. But before they got any answers, the official Longting account suddenly posted a new announcement. Longting Glasses Max were officially going on sale. The news instantly blew up, not only in the live stream, but across every corner of the internet. Countless netizens accused the company of pulling a hunger marketing stunt to manipulate buyers. They called for everyone to boycott the product. Yet moments later, those same people who led the boycott snatched up all the pre-order slots, and they even posted screenshots of their payments online. As the Longting Group's pre-order popularity kept soaring, more tech fans who didn't know the full story flooded into Xia Bingbing's and Liu Nan's livestream rooms. The viewership numbers broke new records again and again. But Xia Bingbing wasn't as excited as Liu Nan. After all, for her, the purpose of coming here from the very start was to dethrone the national goddess on the ranking list. Meanwhile, the Kexan, who was still filming her drama, was watching the live stream with great interest. For the Kexan, it wasn't surprising that I knew Jiang Zubin from Longting Group. She wasn't shocked at all, because she knew that Jiang Zubin and I were sworn brothers. But Xia Bingbing didn't know any of this. Instead, it made her even more curious about me. A little while later, she learned from my mom that my real hobby was actually delivering food. At home, I basically did nothing, just like an unemployed bum. But when Liu Nan overheard this, she immediately thought I was useless. Unexpectedly, this time the netizens were actually thinking. They pushed back right away, calling Liu Nan the crazy one. Jiang already has hundreds of millions, they said, and you're worried about whether he has a job. Are you just trying to feel better by mocking him? Then my daughter lifted her chin proudly and said in a haughty tone, my dad is a comic artist. Liu Nan froze for a second, then nearly burst out laughing. But after thinking it through, and remembering all the plot twist earlier, she began to suspect I really might be a comic artist. But the next second, Yuan had already climbed onto the black pig's back. He dashed straight into his own room. From there, she pulled out a few paper airplanes. Xia Bingbing looked at the paper planes Yuan handed over, not knowing what to say. If these were really comic drafts, there's no way anyone would let a kid fold them into paper planes. But under Yuan's urging, Xia Bingbing opened each paper plane one by one. Inside were clear, detailed black and white drawings. Although she wasn't a big fan of comics, the characters' expressions and movements, and even the dialogue were vividly alive. It was obvious these were original comic manuscripts. The netizens, too, were impatient, urging Xia Bingbing to show them on stream. But when they saw the drawings for the first time, they felt the character outlines looked strangely familiar. Although the papers were wrinkled from being folded into airplanes, some comic-loving viewers recognized one of the characters as Zhang Shulin. But based on just one character, it wasn't enough to confirm they were Zhang Shulin's manuscripts. Still, Xia Bingbing couldn't help being intrigued. At that moment, the entire livestream room exploded. Netizens were all begging for my home address. They said they wanted to send me local specialties from all over the country. But Xia Bingbing wasn't a fan of comics, so she didn't really know much about the comic world. Only after reading the comments did she realize those manuscripts were from the most popular comic in the country, Bird Watching Under the Moonlight. Meanwhile, in a luxury hotel room, the Kexan lay on the bed watching the livestream. To be honest, she really disliked that Liu Nan, who kept doubting her daughter. She found her absolutely annoying. It seemed it was time for her to go home.